live. Paul, thank you for joining us. How are you doing today?
Doing great. How are
It's,
things up in the Northwest?
they're doing good. We don't have the sun of you down in California, but we're hoping for it.
Good.
All right, to get us started, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and about where you're from and how you got into real estate in the first place?
Yeah, so my name's Paul Bartlett, and I'm here in Orange County, California. I started off my real estate career in 1989, coming straight out of Santa Clara University. I was heading back to my hometown of Reno to get into the banking industry, but Ross Dress for Less reached out to the university, specifically looking for a student that had my background. I had had internships with Macy's, Sears. At the time, there was Coldwell Banker Commercial, so this was pre-CBRE. So I had multiple internships, both in retail and in commercial real estate. And Ross, at the time, in '89, was just gearing up their real estate expansion across the country. And they were staffing up in the real estate department, and they were looking for a young go-getter that was willing to learn the industry and learn the ins and outs of retail real estate. And so the day after graduating from Santa Clara, I went up and had a full-day interview with Ross and several executives. And at the end of the full day of interviews and touring the corporate campus, they offered me a job, and I halted all my move plans to Reno and started off in the retail real estate industry.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So to kind of give everybody an idea, you're unique to the show because your main focus is not in investing, but you are in real estate and commercial real estate and that, which is very unique and very interesting, at least to me. So kind of tell people, what is it that you do in real estate? What's your focus? And kind of how do you fit in the ecosphere that is real estate?
Got it. So again, I started my career on the corporate side, working for Ross Dress for Less. Started out, honestly, helping put together their research department, helping plan corporate expansion throughout the country using what I learned at Santa Clara. I was in the Retail Management Institute there, and there were a lot of great courses that I took that segued perfectly for kind of the real estate research within Ross. I helped develop their first sales forecasting model for new stores, and worked my way up after about 5.5 years at Ross, and was headhunted south from the Bay Area into Southern California to work for another retailer by the name of Pick and Save, which ultimately is what we see today as Big Lots.
Okay.
That role was also a bit research related, sales forecasting, strategic planning, but also started segueing into more of the transactional part of growing stores. So working with brokers, working with landlords, and starting to help my internal real estate reps with their negotiation process on the deals that we were chasing throughout, at that time, kind of the middle of the country. After working there for a couple years, as mentioned, Big Lots purchased Pick and Save. Their headquarters were in Ohio. Our headquarters were here in Southern California. They decided to not relocate any personnel from Southern California to Ohio, so they shut down our entire corporate campus here in Southern California, let everybody go, and I was out on the street and decided to roll the dice, become more entrepreneurial, and ultimately found a home at the Staubach Company, founded by Roger Staubach, Hall of Fame quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys.
Nice.
Former Heisman winner at the Naval Academy. And his concept, the Staubach Company's main business line was tenant representation. tenant representation both in retail, but also in office, industrial, and tenant representation in that day and age was relieving all conflicts of interest. A lot of firms, even today, are full service, where you have brokers that specialize in landlord representation and then also have some tenant representation as well. Roger felt whether you're a retailer or an office user, if you are being represented by a full service firm that has listings, you may be steered or there may be some bias to steer the client into CBRE or the firm's own listings rather than showing the entire market.
Everything on the market.
Yeah, and making the right decision and not being biased in any way. So I was hired again by Roger in the Southern California office to work in a nice team of about 5 people at the time, representing a lot of clients. And this was, so it's essentially the mid-90s at this point. Retail was growing rapidly with a lot of national chains throughout the country. And so our tenant representation here in Southern California with Staubach, we worked the Arizona markets, the Nevada markets, Utah, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, really all out of the Southern California office. And we worked with folks at the time growing so rapidly. Pier 1 Imports, Barnes & Noble.
Oh, yeah.
Linens and Things, all sorts of national big rollout clients. And
large chains, yep.
Yeah, large chains. And I was able to apply all my national and research experience with my previous corporate roles and was able to add tremendous value to our clients at the Staubach Company. From there, the rest is all brokerage work, even up till today. I've been on the move a bit, essentially promoted. My next job was with Colliers International. At that time, they did not really have a tenant representation specific segment within the business at Colliers. They were really a landlord-oriented company. I helped found their first tenant representation division and worked with a partner even to this day in the Bay Area on representing clients, again, kind of west of the Rockies.
Okay. From
there, another opportunity, promotion per se, move up. I moved to the Julian Studley Company, and today they're called Savills. Okay. At that time, same thing. It was a well-regarded, still is today, well-regarded tenant representation firm, but only in the office and industrial sectors. They had no retail division, so I started the retail division at Studley as well and helped grow it.
Nice.
Had some personnel on the East Coast and had a great almost six year run there. Today, I am now working with my own firm, in my own firm, a small little office, part of a 4-office entity called EDGE Realty Partners based in Dallas, Texas. I've kind of come full circle in a sense. The founders of EDGE Realty Partners in Dallas were former friends, colleagues of mine at Staubach in the mid-90s. And so they gave my partner and I the opportunity to open up the California office, and we've been very successful over the last 7+ years working the office.
That's great.
In the region out here.
Okay, and so today, current day, you're in tenant representation, and you're focusing still in the California market.
Yeah, so the bulk of our clients we work with specifically Southern California. So from San Luis Obispo on the coast, inland into Bakersfield, and south down to the Mexican border. However, we do have a few clients that we still represent outside of Southern California, all the way up into Northern California, even in Nevada, Arizona, Utah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So just going into the tenant representation model, I guess. So just correct me anytime I make a mistake here, because this is not something I know anything about. So you represent. So just let's say I'm starting a clothing company, Gabe's Clothing, and I want to find retail locations. So I would go to you as the seller agent, essentially, or the buyer's agent, right? And you would help me find listings all across, wherever I'm looking for, irregardless of who's selling it or yada yada. Correct?
Exactly.
And does the relationship extend past that? Do you is there any type of, well, I guess that's it. So you are a buyer's agent for retail, commercial properties, correct?
Right. So we represent basic retailers, apparel folks, but we also represent and have represented banks, fast food, fast casual, sit-down restaurants. We've kind of done everything under the sun in the restaurant genre of retail real estate. We've represented big boxes from Hobby Lobby, Sports Authority, Michael's Arts and Crafts, Barnes and Noble, down to the mid-sized guys like I mentioned, Pure One, down to teeny tiny guys like GNC and Nextel, which is now Sprint.
Right, just the little kiosks,
little guys. So, and we've represented high-end retail, mall-based retail, all the way down into, extreme value-oriented retail, and folks like Dollar Tree, current client of ours. So we've been exposed to a wide variety of uses, wide variety of geography to work in, wide variety of demographics of what the core customer is of the various clients, wide variety of ways of strategizing for real estate expansion and growth. Repositioning, asset management has come into play for a lot of our clients as well. So it's been just a fantastic career for me. About 30 years into it now. Yeah.
Wide breadth of experience too. Yeah. You started your career. I mean, I probably shouldn't be saying this, but you started your career almost 2 years after I was born. So that's a wide breadth of experience there. So this is a real estate investing show. So I'm trying to keep the conversation going a little bit towards, to information that could be useful to investors. So you represent the tenants. You represent the people that are buying not buying, but leasing commercial property.
And buying.
Buying.
Yep.
So if an investor wants to get started in investing in commercial properties, what are the things that they should be looking for to prepare their property for leasing?
Right.
I mean, I know, like, especially when it comes to like restaurants, there's build outs that you have to do. There's what are the things that an investor needs to know when they go into commercial property?
Yeah. So again, I'm very retail, restaurant, entertainment centric, even a little bit of medical. Medical's now kind of popping up into a lot of retail properties, shopping centers, etc. So I'm going to be couching what I tell you with the lens, a little bit of tunnel vision as it relates to retail real estate, not necessarily office or apartments.
Okay.
Though apartments are becoming a bigger part of retail as well today. Real quick, I'll make a segue. Retail, big shopping centers being built and developed, it's pretty few and far between. Even pre-COVID, it was few and far between. But the development that we have seen that includes retail has been mixed use projects with
Single
residential.
level and then,
Yep.
yeah.
Residential going up above the ground floor, and the ground floors, restaurants and services and essential retail like grocery stores, et cetera. So let me move off that and get back to your question. The biggest thing in retail real estate is the old saying, location, location, location. And it starts at a macro level. Myself, my partners, again, the clients that I work with, when we're laying out a strategy, the first thing that we're looking at is the overall market. Who's the employer or employers in the market? How stable are they? How cyclical might they be? How's the employment growth been in the market? Where is it looking like it's headed? So we look at the economy of markets first and foremost. Then we start drilling into the demographics of the market. Who are the consumers in this market, and how do they mesh with the use or the client that I'm working with? And then once you figure out that the market's a fit at a kind of a 30,000 foot level, now you're starting to drill into, okay, if we were to map out a 5-store strategy for, let's say, I don't know, let's just say Orange County, where are the 5 primary trade areas that we should, be looking at within Orange County? And then once you've figured out which trade areas we should be looking at, then you're drilling down to the locations. And then the locations, there's just a slew of variables that need to, essentially be checked off. The boxes need to be checked off. Visibility, access, parking, co-tenancy. Who are the co-tenants? Are they healthy? Are they going to help me, help my client? Are they going to provide synergistic shopping opportunities? And so as an investor, you want to know that all of those things that I just mentioned, they're kind of aligned, and that the value of the property has not only, fit for today for certain tenancies and tenant mixes, but it's viable long term, and not necessarily viable just because of the tenants that are in place are healthy, but you need to ask the question, if these tenants, and we're seeing it with COVID right now, if they were to go away, what are the odds? What is the likelihood of me being able to replace them or take the property in a different direction and be able to take advantage of, trends and uses that are, highest and best use for that property going forward.
And that all comes down, as you were saying, to location. You got to be in a strong market. You got to be in a hot location. And so, it sounds like commercial is the same as residential. You got to be in a good location for it to be viable, to have stability in tenancy. So that's good. Okay. So I guess you're not really on the lead generation side, but how do you guys go about getting new clients? Do you guys have any, do you guys run digital ads? Is it just name recognition?
Yeah, the retail real estate industry it's big, don't get me wrong, but it's a pretty tight-knit family, especially when you get into regions. And the Southern California market is second only to, New York Metro in terms of size and breadth. But even within Southern California, there's, a tight-knit group of people that I work with on a day in, day out basis, whether they're down in San Diego or up in Ventura County, wherever they might be. So the networking is so key. To your point, we do use digital marketing at EDGE. We do use our social media platforms to help promote the company. Our website's pretty in-depth in what it shows we do, what we have to offer, case studies per se. So we use digital, but the nuts and bolts of it is, I'll use the term blocking and tackling. It's networking. It's getting referrals from former clients, current clients. It's getting referrals from your EDGE network, the people within my company. It's reaching out across the country to former colleagues at Staubach, learning what's going on in their market, which new clients they're seeing in their market that might be moving, east to west, or where you are up in the Northwest. Some of my good friends and colleagues up in the Northwest, what are they seeing? Who might they be able to make a warm intro for me as they're heading south into California? So it's less cold calling than you might think.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong, we do cold call, but it's a lot more relationship building, and after building relationships, keeping relationships, using the power of those relationships and your current network to expand and grow and take advantage of the opportunities that kind of come through that. So we're attacking it from high level to, right on the ground
Level.
Yep, ground level. So
that seems to be a theme. I think pretty much everybody that's come on here, when I ask questions similar to this, they're saying networking, talking to people, keeping those relationships going. So it's no different in the retail, commercial space. So that's good to know.
Yeah.
We're going to shift gears a little bit here. So I just want to hear from your experience. What has been the hardest thing you've gone through in real estate? What's been the biggest lesson learned? And then what has been your peak? What's been the most enjoyable experience you've had?
Yeah, so I would say it's been, for me as a broker, the two toughest things that I've had to go through so far, might be a third with COVID. The first was just talking about relationships, going back to relationships, building relationships. Those first 3 years as a broker, you got to build a pipeline. And, I can't speak to residential, but in commercial, whether you're in the office sector, the industrial sector, retail sector, it takes time to build those relationships as a young professional. And the first 3 years were tough. I think I mentioned I had the opportunity of continuing on after Pick and Save in the corporate world, working in-house for other retailers. But I decided to roll the dice and become a broker. And, those first 3 years of building the pipeline, it's not pleasant from a financial and so it was stressful. I was married, I had a baby on the way, and it was tough. And you just have to have confidence in yourself. You have to have confidence that, the tide is going to turn and that pipeline's going to get filled, and then the money will follow. And it eventually came. And it's been wonderful. The other, and I know this is kind of a no duh, the other tough period was the Great Recession. The economy just went completely down the drain. Retailers, restaurants, even banks for that matter, all the different uses, entertainment, they all kind of hunkered down and went into hibernation. And that made things difficult to, again, make money. But to an earlier point, you got to keep the relationships tight. You got to reach out. You got to keep networking, continuing to keep the relationship strong with the current client base you have. And same thing, it just takes steadfastness and a positive mental attitude, and don't give in to negativity and a negative mindset. Just keep waking up every morning with a smile on your face and getting it done. And then we'll see this, the ramifications of COVID and what may happen to the marketplace 6 months from now, a year from now. It remains to be seen. I suspect it'll be a speed bump at a minimum. So
yeah. I've heard a lot of things about COVID and the next recession affecting commercial more than it does pretty much any other sector. So that, I mean, who knows? You don't know, but it'll be an interesting ride ahead of us.
Yep.
But I like what you said. You got to keep confidence. You got to just keep going. Bumps come, and you just got to keep the relationships moving along, and eventually something will work out.
Yeah.
So on top of that, so what's been your peak experience? What's been your favorite thing about being in a relationship? It can either be an individual project that you were on, maybe, or just what do you really enjoy about real estate?
So for me, it's two things. It's the relationships. In retail real estate, specifically with what I do, I'll use the term, I'm not a one and done broker. I don't make a deal and then I may not see that client for another 5 to 10 years, depending on how long their lease term is in the deal that I got them in. We generally have relationships with our clients for as long as they're in business, honestly. And so our process is to never make a mistake on real estate choice, always being their confidant, their fiduciary, making sure that they're choosing the right real estate, they're making the best deal possible. And our business model is built upon, I'll call it repeat business, constant repeat business. And so those relationships, they become so strong over time. And as much as my clients are, my professional colleagues per se, and you need to, you always have to have their business first and foremost in your head. The thing that happens over time is they become incredible friends, great friends. And so that, again, kind of going back to the relationship thing, that's way up there as being one of the most satisfying things that I've got to experience over my career. The other, and this is a little more technical in business, is that what we do generally is we lay the groundwork. When we engage with a new client, we're laying the groundwork on strategy, not just transactions, but strategy for markets, multiple markets. For instance, Hobby Lobby, I represent throughout the state of California. We didn't just lay out the strategy for San Diego or the Bay Area. We laid out the strategy for the entire state. And I love that aspect of it. I've been able to really provide great value given my early career corporate experience in research and analytics and modeling and, helping build really sharp pro formas with the finance department at Ross. I've been able to really provide great value from the initial strategy. Then you move from strategy to executing on that strategy and getting into the transactions. And that's another fun aspect of what I do. And then, you move from the transactions and now it's kind of more out of my hands because I don't build the stores or the restaurants or the different clients' operations. But you're still in close contact in, I'll call it the development process of what they're doing. And then when the time comes to grand open, you're usually there for the grand opening of the restaurant or the retail operation, as long as it's fairly close by. And you're paying attention to that, I'll call it the baby that you helped give birth. And you want to make sure that that baby grows up nice and healthy and strong. And
you get to see it from before it was a thing to when it's full operational out there in the world.
And performing, hopefully, very, very well. And you get such great satisfaction at that stage of the whole process, is seeing these units open well, one, and open within reason of what you expected them to open, which also plays backwards into the transaction because you negotiated a purchase price or rent based upon those sales expectations,
yep.
Performance expectations. So it becomes kind of a competition, not only within, did we do a good job negotiating the best deal with that landlord, but at the end of the day, you're seeing these units open up and it's a competition. Did we guess right? Did we have the right educated guess on how this thing would perform, and is the occupancy aligning with those expectations? And
all the pieces just kind of coming together.
Yeah.
Cool. I like it. So switching gears one more time, we do try to keep these shows to around 20 to 30 minutes. So we are getting to the end of our time here. But I want to ask before we end, if there's, one piece of advice for somebody just starting out in real estate, say they're going into retail, commercial, either on the investing side or on the agent side. What is that piece of advice that you'd like to give them?
You have to have a passion. If you don't feel the passion in the beginning, get out. Because again, the passion is what's going to drive you through the bumps. And there's going to be bumps, and there's going to be peaks, and there's going to be valleys. So you got to have passion. You got to be confident in yourself and your abilities. But at the same time, you need to be humble, and you need to be not so confident that you can't take advice. You can't learn. You always have to have a learning mindset, and always, even today, I'm still, devouring as much new knowledge as I can. So I'd say, passion, confidence, but a learning mindset, and trying not to let yourself get too high when things are going great.
Hard thing.
It's hard, and not let yourself get too low. Just always have that, that competitive spirit that, tomorrow is a new day, and there's opportunity tomorrow, and keep your head up.
I like it. All right, so we are at the end. Paul, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, what is the best way to get a hold of you?
You can reach out to me through LinkedIn, Paul Bartlett, EDGE Realty Partners here in Orange County. You can also email me at pbartlett, BARTLETT, at edge-re.com. Those are probably the two easiest ways of connecting. And
all right, perfect. Well, again, Paul, thank you very much for being on here. I appreciate everything you've shared with us. And for listeners and viewers, if you want to reach out, get a hold of Paul, reach out to any of the ways he just said, email, LinkedIn. And until then, thank you for joining, and we will see everyone on the next show.
Thanks.